everyone, welcome again for me to share more stories of my co-authors on the power of why with you. And today I have with me someone who's very special, who's very warm and likable, and I've had many great conversations with her, and you are also going to enjoy a conversation today. Her name is Shoma Mittra, who is my co-author on the power of why, and Shoma's passionate about helping people write and publish their books. More about her, I'm going to let her introduce and then share her power of why with us. So let's welcome Shoma. Hi, Shoma, welcome.
Hi, Vinee, and thank you so much for having me here on the interview. And it's been absolutely fantastic to collaborate with you and 21 other women. I think with all of us, we're 23 on the book Power of Why. So I'm absolutely ecstatic. So a little bit about me, you asked. So my background is media and journalism. So I've been a journalist for over, I think 15, 16 years. I was a journalist, active in journalism, and then I moved to helping people write, edit, publish their stories. So I've been at it a long time. This is my only skill.
So, and I think it's a great skill, though. It does take a lot to be able to write and help people write.
Yeah, it is my passion to get as many stories out as I possibly can and help people, because a lot of people want to write stories, but they're not quite sure, how to start. They have an idea, they don't know how to expand it or how to structure it into a book. And then what really makes a book readable. Also, because I've been in the publishing industry as well for many years, I know the publishing industry inside out. And I know it's changing. In our times, it was more traditional publishing. Now it's, for the last 20 years or so, it's with Amazon coming on and all the other e-platforms. Self-publishing is a great way to go. And the power of why is being self-published. So it's amazing.
So tell us and share with us what your why is.
Okay, so my why, well, it began a long time ago. Even as a little girl, I was a voracious reader. So I love books, I love stories. And so I've always been throughout my life. Even if I can't find books, I will read, labels on shampoo bottles and toothpaste tubes. So I just have to read. But what really started me on this journey was when we visited Africa about 8 or 9 years ago. And we were doing the safaris as people do in the Serengeti. And on one of these safaris, they took us to a Maasai village. And in that village, there were, women, children, men, and they were showing us these Maasai dances, and women were, they wear beautiful beads, and they were, selling us beads, and all children were running around. So it was gorgeous. But in the village, I saw a little distance away, the headman, and you could make out he was the headman because he had this regal headdress. He was, beautiful beads and stuff on his hair and all. And he was just sitting on a wooden stump and watching us. He didn't come forward. He wasn't talking to us. But, once a journalist, always a journalist. I'm curious. So I went up to talk to him. But he spoke Swahili, I spoke English. So we couldn't really converse. We were, using hand signals and all. Then a 14-year-old, about 13 or 14, a young boy came up. He knew a little bit of English and he started interpreting for us. So I got talking to him about this, that, the other. And one of the things that he said really pushed me to start this. And he said, whenever an elder dies, a library burns to the ground. Apparently, it's an African proverb. I had never heard it before. But when I heard that, it just struck a chord, like, it's so true. I've had great-grandparents and grandparents, and when I was little, they would tell me stories of how they had been through the First World War, Second World War, and all the things that had happened when they were growing up. And I'd always loved those stories, but never ever thought to take them down, to write them down. And those people are gone now. Whatever I have remaining is in my head, everything else is lost. And that had a big impact on me. When we came back, and it took me a few years to start it going, uh, I thought, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to help people tell their stories because I already have these years and years of experience. I know the industry inside out. So why not, help people do that? So initially I started with physical, in Perth, and I still do them, doing them for free in councils, in libraries. I just give free talks. They invite me. And sometimes from a group of 30 or 40, maybe 2 or 3 will want to actually write. And then I take them through that journey. But of late, unfortunately, since last year, I went online and I started teaching online. And that's where I found all you amazing people. So my why has now grown bigger.
And I'm so glad that you did narrate this story so beautifully because, obviously, for the ones who don't know, I've had the privilege to read your chapter and your story, Shoma. And even when I read it, I had goosebumps even then. And now to hear you narrate it was just 3 times over. And it's so true. And you have made this why your mission. You are making sure that precious stories don't get lost. And we have as many stories to tell as we move forward. I think it's brilliant.
Like, imagine if people hadn't done those cave paintings, if people hadn't, written scriptures, if people hadn't preserved those items of their thoughts and, where the hieroglyphics in Egypt, and where would we be? Like, we learn so much of our past from them. And so when we keep our thing, we put our things down. And a book is the best form because once it's archived in the National Library of your country, it will live forever. Even, a few hundred years down the line, we won't be there, but future generations will be able to see what we've written.
So well said, really well said. My next question to you now is on how would you encourage others to take that leap in their business and feel empowered to do so?
So, and this is not related to writing, this is just any business. Um, I think, like, I have always, like I said, been a journalist. So I was always an employee rather than, I never didn't have a business mindset. But, sorry, mine was when I moved from India to Australia, and I will cut a long story short, and I decided to get into business. I really had no clue what to do. I had not, nobody in our family has been in business. Most of my family are academics, on either my husband's side and my parents' side. So I have not really seen anyone in business. But what I started doing was putting myself out there, telling people I'm able to help them. And that was the first step. I had nothing, no business number, no website, no nothing. I just said, I'm ready to help you. Initially, I started helping people for free. So these were, often there were university students who had written their thesis and just wanted me to do a quick edit on it. There was a professor in a university here, University of Western Australia, and she had done a paper and she wanted me to edit that. So few things, I didn't charge them, I just did it, but I was getting experience and I was learning how to basically communicate with clients, because running a business, there are lots of facets to running a business. There's the numbers game, there's the marketing, there's a lot of other things. But I think the most important thing in running a business is the client relationship that you have. Because if you don't have relations with your clients, you're not going to get any. And your clients are your marketers. At least I believe that, because most of my business comes from word of mouth. And people just keep referring me. So I learned that. And once I'd been doing that for a year or two, that's when I then got a business number and a website, and I formally launched. So I would say to anyone who's thinking of starting out, see what you know, look at what you know and what you love doing, because the only way you can keep going is if you really enjoy what you do. And when you enjoy what you do it well. And you do it well if you enjoy what you do. So it works both ways. So first, pick something that you really enjoy. And then start going out to people. It doesn't matter that you don't make money the first few months or something. Start going out, start helping people get that experience, because you're going to make many mistakes. And because you're doing it for free, those people are going to give you testimonials, they're going to give you feedback, take those on board. And when you feel somewhat ready, then go forward. Money will follow you as long as you do the work. So that has been my experience, and that's what I would tell anyone who wants to launch a
Fantastic.
business.
Yeah. Do something you enjoy and then go out there and do it and start helping people with that.
Service comes first before anything else.
And like you said, also from a business perspective, it will actually give an idea in terms of what people think about it. Their feedback will help you, will allow you to one, make mistakes and repair them, and then move forward. And all this would be technically at no cost other than just you experiencing it and getting better each time. So
Exactly. I
that's
mean, a lot of people have said to me, even business coaches, that that's not the right way. Time is something you'll never get back. You should be charging. I agree. I'm charging now because I've got over 27 years experience. I started business 10, 12, 11 years ago. But when you're starting out, I don't think money is the most important thing, because remember, when you're giving free service, even if you make mistakes, people are going to be kind to you. Tell them up front, I'm doing this, I'm trying this out, and they're going to be kind and they'll come and help you. And that's such a great learning experience. Once you've done that for a while, feel free to go ahead and charge for your business.
true, very true. So now we're going to do some fun stuff. We want to also address our users and our audience on social media. So our Instagram users would like to know if you've had any memorable or even a funny story to tell in the course of this journey of yours.
Oh dear, oh gosh. I probably would. Now you've put me in a spot, because I a funny story. Not that I can
Or
remember.
anything memorable also that just suddenly brings a smile to your face.
I don't know that there's anything humorous in this, but I'm sure, if I think there, I will come up, but maybe in the course of our conversation later. But one of the memorable things is I had two clients. One of them, she is now 87. When she came to me, she was about 82. So that's a few years ago. And she had been writing a memoir. Her husband had started it. She's from an agricultural background, so it's a farming story. Her husband started it. Then he was a few pages into it when he died. And it had been her lifelong desire to write that book for him. She'd been struggling with it for 20 years. She had all this material, all this, scraps of paper and files and folders. And when she found me, I actually went to her house because, she's 82. She couldn't come to my office. And we sat there with cartons and cartons and cartons of material that she'd written over the years, some of them not typed out, just handwritten. And she said to me, Shoma, I desperately want this book out before, in my lifetime. It took me a year and a half, but that book has been one of the best things, not just for her. It has gained so much media attention because it captures the history of Western Australia in those times. She's done a beautiful job. I just had to put it together. And there's similarly another story where this lady, very similar, very old business in Western Australia. It's been going for 150 years. It's still going. And she is the great niece of the person who came from England to Australia and set up this biscuit business. And it's called the Biscuit Factory. She'd been struggling with it for 16 years. And again, we put the, so those two are really close to my heart because, it's the people have struggled and we've done it. So yeah,
They
I
do.
still
It's
can't
just
remember.
so nice to even hear about it and to be a part of it.
I
Uh,
feel really honored and humbled when people share their stories with me.
so now our Facebook users would like to know what is the one business value or one micro practice that you stand for and that you never compromise on.
So one is business value.
Yes.
I give more than I'm required to, or more than I charge for. Um, way more because yes, I'm running a business, so I need to charge. But I think the end result is that if my client and we become friends in the course of this journey because the book journey is a long one, receives way more and is completely satisfied because most people who come to me are writing either their first book or writing that one book. Some people will write sequels and go on, but usually it's their first one. It's very precious to them. And I will, not compromise on anything to get them what they want. So I take them through the whole journey. And if you're asking about my skill is getting the story out of your head. So actually being able to extract that story and then give it back to them in a book form. So even now I'm running a 90-day class and the students in my class they were just like, how did you do it? They just told me the points in their story and I brought it to them in a way that, that runs like a book. So that's probably my biggest skill.
And last but not the least, our business people on LinkedIn, they are curious to know if your business has seen any shift with this new normal, and if it has, how do you plan to adapt to the new normal perspective in business?
And that's a great question because it has seen a shift and a shift for the better. I didn't know COVID was going to happen, as did no one else. But funnily enough, I transitioned online last July, August, and it took me a while because I had to understand the digital marketing scenario and all of the things. I'm not a very big social media person. Um, so it took me a while, but I launched in November online. And it's been the best thing ever because now I've got clients from Guatemala and Argentina to all over the US, Europe, Croatia, Poland, Belgium, UAE, India, Sri Lanka, Australia, New Zealand. I don't think I've left from Russia as well. Oh, Seoul, from Korea, from Vietnam. So it's just been absolutely amazing because I didn't even know how these people found me. I'm still learning the ways of digital marketing. So I'm just out there on Facebook and a little bit on LinkedIn. I'm not really on Instagram, though I have an account. Because I just don't have the time to do all that. I'm all the time editing and, so yeah, it's been wonderful. And I encourage anybody who's not online to go online because there's a world of 7.3 billion people out there. You don't need them all, you just need a few.
True. So the way you plan to adapt is, of course, to focus a lot more on your online clients and
Online.
reaching
It's
out.
probably all going to go online, purely online, unless, when the COVID gets over, again, I'm invited to do a talk to people and I'm happy to go and talk to them, but I don't charge or anything for that. It's just free information. So I give out a lot of free stuff as well, even on my Facebook page or, to my clients. I run a lot of free classes.
Okay, lovely. So that was fantastic, Shoma. How can our audience reach you if they need to connect with you, learn from you? Where can they write to you?
Okay, so Two ways are the easiest. Just go into my website, which is shomamitra.com. It's just my name, SHOMAMITRA.com. Or I have a Facebook closed group, which is very small because I only want people who are interested in writing and publishing, and it's called From Blank Page to Bestseller. So that's the name of the group. And I've got a LinkedIn account. You can just Google my name and it'll come up.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much for making the time to talk to me, and also for all our audience to get acquainted with you. It was a lovely chat.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.